Morning, everyone. Bunch of stuff in the way up here today. So this morning on Mission Sunday, we held them off from their trip from Costa Rica and asked them if they would we thought it'd be better if we just gave them the service to tell us everything that went on, what they experienced, what they saw. So they have a ton of pictures for us up there from their trip down there. They also have a video toward the end. And they're just going to share their hearts with us and share what we can expect in the future. This was a long-time goal of mine to reestablish short-term missions trips. We haven't done one in over 20 years here. It's just something that kind of fell off, and we couldn't get going. Tried a couple times, it didn't work out. And then when Kevin and Sandy took over volunteering to run missions for us, one of the things that they got right on top of was establishing a short-term missions trip. So I'm very excited about that, very grateful for that. Thank you guys for doing that. And so I'm excited I've caught a little bit from Bailey, but I'm excited to hear from everybody today, the experiences they had. And as we're going through this, I think they're going to open it up for questions toward the end. So if you do have a question, they are planning on going back. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask about it.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Good. I feel like my dad up here. It's weird. Not used to it. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to go over kind of an overview with you guys of what we did down there, that kind of thing. For those of you who don't know, I am Bailey, Sean's daughter. And so when we were down there, we went to 2 locations. They actually have 3 locations down there, but we only visited 2. The first one was the ranch. So I'm just going to explain that a little bit to you guys. You can see up there on the pictures, the first picture is going to be the actual river that the ranch sits on. It's about 18 acres of property that they have, and it butts up to this beautiful river. Wild monkeys everywhere too, which is really cute and cool to see. So in the middle, you're going to see their feeding center. So part of the ministry at the ranch is a feeding center that they do at about the middle of the day. It is in between school breaks. So they have a school in their community that has the first chunk of the day, morning, and then they have a break, and then they have another chunk of the day. So it's perfect timing for the kids that they can come in and eat lunch. It's also for anybody in the community. So while we were there, we fed them food. There was quite a bit of people that came through. They said that they do have more numbers towards the beginning of the week because people don't get food on the weekends. So they have higher numbers in the beginning of the week. We also, which I thought was interesting, they give kids little vitamin gummies there. So they hand out vitamin gummies with the meals to all the children, which is really cool and something that you wouldn't even think of, right? Like, why would you be handing out vitamins to these kids? But it actually makes sense because they don't have that and they need those nutrients. So these are some other pictures. First on here, this slide kind of just shows the ranch itself. The ranch is probably a more comfortable place for people, right? It's cleaner. You feel more safe. It's a small community. You're not walking a whole bunch of distances. The beds are really nice. You can see the beds are up in the top left over there. The tables down there are inside where we would stay. Top left is food that you would get, rice and beans. Yeah, breakfast, lunch, dinner, every single time. So hopefully you like those. No, it really wasn't bad. They do change it up with the flavors of them too. But yeah, so the ranch was, I want to say, not safer in essence, but safer, right? Like it's small, you feel secure there. You're kind of in a closed off part, right? The community there is a lot nicer too. You're not seeing as rough conditions as our second location. Also part of the ranch, they have a children's ministry. So that is, I believe, 5 days a week. It's about an hour and a half long. The first 30 minutes you're out playing with the kids, just building relationships, connecting with them, playing soccer, pool, nail polish. Girls come with nothing on your nails because they love to paint your nails. Jeannie had quite the color combos going on with her nails. No, it's good. You build good relationships. You can kind of see it up there, the coloring pages that you do. They have swing sets, pool table. So they do about 30 minutes of that, and then the kids come in and they do a 30-minute worship time and prayer slash Bible lesson. That's 30 minutes, but it's crazy how engaged those kids are for those 30 minutes. Like, they are just zoned right into it, and it's the best. And then the next 30 minutes, you go out and you play with them again, and then you end the day with giving them a snack. What else? Groceries. So another part that we did while we were at the ranch was we bought groceries for about 4 families in the community. So this looked like us bringing about, $100 per person? Something like that. And you go out and you buy groceries at their local grocery store. Believe it or not, they actually have a chain, stores there that are Walmart. Walmart owns them, so it's not anything crazy. The ranch, though, they did have a smaller shop because, again, it's a lot smaller. It's more secluded. They don't have crazy things there. But anyway, so we bought groceries and we went to houses in the community. The missionary team there kind of chose which houses we went to, but we walked around the community, found these houses. You can see in the bottom right there, that's in one of the houses, and I would say that's probably the nicest house that we went to on this whole entire trip. And as you can see, there's one couch. She actually has a TV, which I don't think I saw a TV in any other houses that I was there. But again, it's not anything crazy. Like, that is like a nice house down there. Which that makes, so Jeannie was just saying that she thinks that house was actually rented out from the missionaries down there. It was theirs, and the person living there was renting from them. So anyway, that would explain why it's a little nicer. But yeah, that basically sums up the ranch part of it. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
I think, it took us, 2-hour drive to get there?
Yeah, so from the airport, it's about a 2-hour drive, very windy. You're going literally through the rainforest. If you get car sick, take some Dramamine. I was popping them, not gonna lie. I get car sick.
It's very rural.
Yes, yep.
Flat and
Yes, very flat and walkable, very doable. Like, you're not walking anything crazy, not uphill crazy, no stairs, just like a small community like Dansville, probably even smaller than Dansville. So it's a good place to go if you're someone who can't walk very far or struggles with, go, go, go type of thing. So it's more laid back. You can even stay just on the ranch if you want to, right? And their children's ministry is not very far either from the actual ranch itself.
You felt safe, basically, even though when we first got there, we were, I think, all a little bit nervous because there was barbed wire everywhere and the windows were all barred.
And yes, there is a bridge you have to cross that is a little scary.
It wasn't your first picture. We were standing.
Yeah, I think it was on the first picture, on the first slide anyway. We were standing before it, very sketchy. You think you're falling through, but they do it every day, and they're not scared, so I'm like, if they're not scared, I shouldn't be scared. It's fine. But it is, I think that's actually a picture of it. To the left of me and Jeannie, up there is a picture of the bridge, which doesn't look bad there, but it is scary. So that was our first location, the ranch. We spent the first full day that we had there, and then stayed 2 nights there, and then on our 3rd day, we went to the city. If you wanna, yes, this is the city. So that first picture, that's everywhere you go. This was intense. It was emotionally tasking. It was physically tasking. It was a lot to take in. Like I said, that first picture, that's the city, and that is everywhere. And the smell, it smells like it looks. It's not
Basically
clean.
raw sewage in
Yeah.
the area that you
Yep.
go to.
They don't really have bathrooms there, so it's just, and animals run crazy. Dogs, chickens, everything. It's just, and they don't care where they go. So that's that first picture. At the city, we were able to participate in their feeding center. So they have a feeding center that they do too. This is kind of more geared towards adults though. So they feed the adults. They come in, they actually do worship first and then a Bible lesson. Some of the guys will get up and share too. Like you can see in that picture, that's one of them from the feeding center that was up talking, sharing. It was actually his birthday and we sang happy birthday to him. If you could see his outfit, he very much likes motocross. It was the best. He was very excited about that. So yeah, they do Bible, and then you serve them food. It's right, they have got big containers, right? You go up, you dish the food up, and then you pass it out. They like to not do seconds just because they don't know the influx of people, but they will beg you for seconds. That was something that was kind of shocking to me. It was like, I want to give them more, but you can't. And also, they take advantage of you. They know that you're new and you don't really know what you're doing, so they'll try and be like, hey, go get me some more, like thinking that you'll do it, and I definitely did a couple times. But that's okay. So another part of the city was a lot of walking. You're walking a lot. Like, I think my watch got 18K steps in one day. Like, a lot of walking, a lot of stairs. There was a park, right? So I forgot to mention this. The city that we're in is dangerous. It is the third most dangerous city in Costa Rica. So it's scary. You're nervous walking through there, right? You don't know what to expect. But we did go to a local park that they have that once used to be completely full of like nothing, essentially, and people just using drugs, right? But now you go there, and it's actually on the uphill rise. There's people, families out. There's a little basketball court. You can see people playing basketball, kids running around. It's really great. But an opportunity we had there was to just pray over people in the park. We went up to multiple different people, and we prayed over them, asked them what they needed, prayed for, and we prayed for them. Something interesting that we had happen was a girl actually came up to us in the park. She had just left an abusive household. Mom was not nice to her, right, abusing her. Dad not in the picture, not answering phone calls. She had literally just fled her home, and she came to us for just to pray for her. Not to really even ask for help, not for money, just wanted us to pray. So I actually had the privilege of praying over her, and she came back to the mission with us, had lunch with us. We kind of got to know her a little bit better, and then the missionaries there, they connected with her. They didn't just send her back on her way. They connected with her. But that just kind of shows the impact that we had, right? Like, she knew to come to us because she wanted to be prayed for. She knew that we would do that for her. So she sought us out. It wasn't like, hey, we came up to you. Like, you do that, right? You go up to people and ask them if they need prayer. But she came to us, that was a really cool experience that we had there. The guy on the end, that's Carlos. That is a snow cone little stand that he has. Very interesting. I actually have a video of him in the end that you'll see more of that.
That was gifted by the church.
Yes, that was gifted by the church to him, and you'll see at one point there's actually a baby doll hanging by like a string. It's weird, I don't know, but yeah, he is so happy though. You'll see in the video, I guess I can say it now, but you'll see he points to his shoes. He got new shoes, and it was like the highlight of his day. And they don't look that new. They're worn out on the bottom, but he wanted us to see his new shoes. He loved them.
Isn't he like 80 or 80?
Yeah, he's like 80 years old too, and he's out there still working. I personally did not have a snow cone. Kevin did, though. I don't know how good it was, but Kevin did try one. Kevin definitely ate everything on the trip. It was great. Was not scared at all. Me, on the other hand, I was not going to have a snow cone. No, but that was another part of it. So going to the park and praying over people in the park. We prayed over quite a few people there, which was awesome because it felt really intentional and like we were actually making a difference. Like, we were meeting these people where they were at, right? We were going to them and praying over them. Another part of the city, is a refugee camp. So refugee camp, sorry, I'm just now looking at this. That's our shower in the bottom. That's where you will shower at the house that you stay in. The top right is the bed that you will sleep in. There are sheets on it. That one just didn't have any. It's not great. It's dirty. It's not clean. It's not comfortable, but that's reality there, right? And that's what you're going there for, to experience that. I woke up with a spider right next to my head in the middle of the night there. That was fun. Not screaming.
There really are windows.
No, you got to be safe. So there's no
glass.
No.
It's just openings with screen.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, though.
No, it could be worse, right? It could be worse, but that's part of going there is experiencing that. So I think maybe on purpose they do that a little bit, right? Like, it's not bad though. There's another picture of the food. The showers, you have warm water, not crazy hot and not a ton of pressure, but you have warm water. And it's, I think they called it what, a Widowmaker. So it's like a shower head that connects with wires to like this pump that heats the water. And you will get shocked if you touch it, so don't touch it. They made that very clear. Like, don't try and get hotter water and more pressure because you will get shocked. So that was the city, and then the refugee camp. So this is somewhere we went within the city. It's a refugee camp, right? That kind of speaks for itself. This is it right here. You can see the kids up there in the top right. It is tin shacks and broken glass and wire, and it is this community of people who fled from Nicaragua, the war that happened, I believe, 2018, and Costa Rica does not even recognize them as citizens or even people, for that matter of fact. They were outcasted. They came here to Costa Rica for a better life. They did not get that. They were sent away by the Costa Rican government, basically, and the people. And so they built their own little community with metal racks and tiny little hallways between, like, those are houses, and you're walking through there. You can see in the top left, like, one person at a time walking through there, right? But in the middle of this huge community is this big dirt field, and it's Disneyland. It is Disneyland for those kids. It's full of glass and garbage and broken things and tree branches that stick up and just nastiness, but like I said, it's Disneyland to those kids. They love it. It's their playground. It's where they play. There was at one point, Sandy saw a little boy with a broken bottle, right? Beer bottle. And she was like, oh gosh. And everyone's like, no, he's just playing bowling. That's his bowling pin. He's got a soccer ball and he's knocking down this broken glass bottle and he's having the best time of his life. Every time he knocks that broken glass down, he's jumping up and down with his hands, screaming for himself. And to us, it's like, why is a little 2-year-old boy touching a broken glass beer bottle? Like, no, that shouldn't be happening. But he loved it. It was the best for him. So we got to hang out here for a good chunk of time. It was great. We were, I don't know, obviously the Spanish translation, but basically they have you walking through these halls, basically chanting, the louder you are, the more kids will come play. So they basically have us chanting, come play with the white people, through the halls. Can you still hear me? Did it? There we go. Can you hear me? I feel like you can't. You can? Okay. Yeah, so come play with the white people. And the louder you are, the more they will come, the more kids you'll get to come play with you. So there was only 4 of us, so you can imagine us going through these tiny little things, the 4 of us trying to speak Spanish, yelling this. It was very interesting, but it was also amazing at the same time. Like, it was just the best. So that was also part of it. And then the last part of the city was what we called a red zone. So this was the most dangerous thing that we did while we were down there. It was...
Before you go to that,
Yeah.
just in terms of the refugee camp, that was initially started to be populated in the 1980s as people fled Nicaragua. And so that puts generations of people that are living there. And this is a hillside, so when you start at the bottom, that's basically the worst of all of it. And as you work your way up, it gets a little bit better. But it's steep, uneven terrain, difficult to navigate, easily turned around and lost in there, at least for us as being newbies. But again, generations have been born there, and these are people that literally don't exist. They're not recognized by their Nicaraguan country where they originally came from. They're not recognized by Costa Rica. So there are people living there with no paperwork, no existence, can't get jobs, can't do anything, can't travel, can't get out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really eye-opening going to that camp. They're so happy, though. They're the happiest people you'll ever meet, and they have nothing. And that just speaks volumes. They have God and their family, and that's all that matters to them. And if they have those two things, they're good. And how eye-opening is that, right? Like, and then to see it in person, I can tell you that they're happy, right? But to see the joy on their face, it's something you just can't even explain it. And then I was going to talk about the red zone. This is, again, the most dangerous part of our trip. There's no pictures because we could not have our phones on us. We took off all jewelry. We had on vests on us. No phones, no nothing of anything, because you're going into the heart of the city, and there is drug use, active drug use, psychosis from drug use, right? There is homelessness, there's prostitution, you're seeing it all. And it was hard. It was really, really difficult to see that. I'm going to talk about that more on my slide, just because that's my biggest testimony from this trip, is actually being in the red zone, so I'll speak more on it when I talk about it. But that was that part. And then I also did forget to mention we did buy groceries too for the refugee camp. We did buy groceries for those people and went in and prayed for those people. So there was more to it that we did in the city than we did at the ranch. The outreach is a lot bigger in the city than it is at the ranch. Not to say that that doesn't mean what you're doing at the ranch. Ranch isn't important, because it is, but the outreach is just a lot bigger in the city. Okay, so this is just an overall facts. So the ranch, right? I can't read that. Housing was nicer, yes. It was cleaner, safer. Everything's in close proximity. What'd you say? Least amount of walking. So like if you're older and you can't do a lot of walking, this is the place to go. You're still making an impact. It's not that you're not. It's just more manageable day to day. Bedding is nicer. The housing is nicer. You're safer. You feel safer. Those kind of things. City, you don't feel safe. I just put it that way, right? You do, right? Like, you know you're okay when you're sleeping at night. Like nothing's gonna, you're fine when you're there sleeping at night. They keep it very safe in their base, right? But when you're out and about, you don't know what you're going to come into, and that can be scary for a lot of people. A lot of walking, a lot of climbing stairs, a lot of rough housing with the kids. I still have bruises on my legs. You can ask to see them. I will show you from how rough housing I was with those kids, because that's how they are. They're tough. Then some other things, rice and beans, and then a protein with every meal. Personally, I didn't ask what the protein was because I did not want to know. It was better that I didn't know, otherwise I wasn't eating. So I just didn't ask. Rice and beans, a lot of fresh fruit. It's really good down there. This is something that I don't want to have it turn people away, but you have to be comfortable praying out loud. They want you to pray, and they'll call you out and be like, Bailey, your turn, you're praying over this family. Okay, let's do it, let's go. So don't be discouraged by that, right? It can be really short, simple prayers. Like, nothing crazy. Kevin knows that. Kevin did great with those short, quick, to-the-point prayers, right? And that's okay, but you will, they called Kevin out. Kevin, your turn to pray. All right, cool. You're right, so you got to be comfortable praying out loud, and there's also the fact that you're speaking English and they know Spanish. So that kind of helps in the back of your head, right, that they don't necessarily know what you're saying. We do, but they not so much, right? And obviously the purpose behind the praying, like, God knows. Keep that in mind too. Jesus knows what you're trying to say and what you mean, right? So got to be able to pray out loud over these people. You don't have to know Spanish. There's a translator with you, somebody who translates, someone from the missionary teams with you always, and they are great at translating. Like, they will tell you everything that these people are saying, and then they'll translate it back to them. So that's not a worry if you don't know Spanish. But you do pick up on things very quick when you're down there, too. We were only there for, 4 days, and I was picking up on stuff that quick. The water is safe to drink. Doesn't taste great. Tastes like chemicals, but that's okay. It is safe to drink, which is important. This is interesting. Nothing can be flushed down the toilet. Nothing.
Paper products.
No.
You can go number 2.
Yes, you can flush. Number 2 down the toilet. But no, the toilet paper you use, no, you can't. You have to put it in the garbage. So that's you get used to it after a day or two. But just to keep that in mind, right? It's uncomfortable. You're not used to that. So it makes you a little uneasy at first. And then there is a third ministry location that they have. It's at the beach. We were not able to go there because our trip was so short. We didn't get the chance to go there. We are getting more information on it, but that is a possibility if we get a big enough group that we can split up and you can choose to go to the ranch, or you can go to the city, or you can go to the beach, or that kind of thing. We would recommend, just like, if you guys do want to go with us, it would probably be good if we sat down with you and kind of told you where you might be best to go, because sometimes we think that we're good in one spot, or you think, oh, I don't want to go to the city, like, I don't think I can do that, but we might think, like, actually, you'd be perfect for the city, you should go to the city, that kind of thing. And I think that's about it on the overall facts.
Is this on? Okay. All right. So I did not come as prepared as Bailey did, but you know, we've had a few weeks now to mull over everything that we've seen, and actually looking at the slides even now, it still just kind of almost takes your breath away. Just everything that we went through, right? It was very hard to process that every night, the emotional aspect of it, the spiritual aspect of it. So it's still fresh, even just seeing the pictures. I will add that you do go out with a team, an experienced team of both, missionaries that are there from the United States, as well as folks that are native to Costa Rica. So when you go out as a team, not just us four. It was 8 or more people at all times, right? So from that regard, they know the streets, they know the people, they already have established relationships and the outreach there. So you're not just winging it going out, which is, just so people understand that there is some comfort in that.
Nobody was going to mess with Victor.
Yeah, that's very true. They had told us when we got there that the predominant faith there is Catholic, and they have a lot of respect for gringos, especially those that are coming on missions trip, because they have a high respect for God. Whether or not they have a personal relationship with Jesus, they still they treat everybody with respect that's coming around, and they know that missionaries are there to help. So I think that gave us, some comfort in that as well. So with that, originally when Kevin and I ended up onboarding as helping out with the missions, back in 2019, I talked to Julie about missions opportunities for the kids, right? Cammie and Ryder were still in school, and we were looking for ways for them to step out in faith, and then COVID hit, right? So didn't happen for a while, but then, especially after Ryder passed, it became very important to me to be obedient and to step out, because I have a lot of peace and hope, because I know that my son is saved. But there are parents and children out there that don't have that hope. And to be able to share Jesus with them is important, because, you see it in the news every day. You don't know when something is going to happen. And this is part of that, right? We're called to step out in obedience and share our faith. Going to Costa Rica just shows you how much the world needs the church, us here, us people that are spoiled with everything that we have, to go out and be the hands and feet of Jesus and show other people that they are loved and that they matter. It doesn't matter what their income bracket is or anything, right? Or their history. People that have fallen into drug use or that have committed crimes because they're trying to feed their families or whatever, they still deserve Jesus' love. Jesus still loves them. So for me, that's what this mission trip was about. And I didn't necessarily expect to get things out of it personally, but it does change your heart and feed your soul, and it strengthens your relationship with God. The fruit in your life that comes out of going on a trip like this is amazing. And it, you know, it teaches you to truly count your blessings, right? We think we are spoiled here with all the things that we have, but Bailey and everybody else here, we've talked about it before. They had nothing, but they had everything because they had their family and they had God, and that is what mattered to them, and that was completely just blows you away. For me, you know, I've gotten to know Bailey and Jeannie. I mean, we had met a couple times before the trip, but now they're my sisters for sure. There's no doubt. And I can't wait to go on more adventures with them and stepping out in faith. And, you know, the last thing I'll add, the missionary there, Max, said, you know, you can send money. Yes, we'll be able to use the money. Yes, we will bless people in Jesus' name on your behalf. But he said, we need your help coming down here and showing Jesus' love in person. And that's exactly what we're called to do. So with that, I think the last thing I'll just add, and I think it's just mainly because we forgot to talk about it before, was, you know, there's Costa Rican government requires that every family pay $200 a child, $250
That's the cost.
for just to go to school, to buy the uniforms and the supplies. They have to have that money to be able to send their child to school. And one of the houses that we went to in the rural area, one of the child's houses that we visited had lost their sponsor. So Kevin and I are now sponsoring Raul. And we do have pictures with him somewhere too. But that's, to meet your sponsored child in person is amazing, and to know that you're helping them. And I'm looking forward to going back and visiting and seeing how they're doing. You know, we already sponsor a couple children through Compassion International, have not gotten the chance to meet them in person. This is different. It's very, very personal when you see how they live, and just, it just, it's overwhelming, right? So that, I think I spoke enough.
Hi.
Don't forget to leave me some time, okay?
Oh, don't worry about that. Not a public speaker, so we'll just keep it fairly brief. I'm Jeannie, in case you don't know me. I spend my time on this side, and I'm pretty quiet for the most part unless I get to know you. For my slide, I decided to go with an acronym that I kind of looked into. So missions, M is for meeting tangible needs. We are there to share God and to share faith, but these folks are poor, like very poor. And so bringing them groceries is a big deal. And it was basic staple necessities, and they were just so appreciative. We didn't have not one family come up to us and ask us to give them groceries. We didn't have anyone fighting to get food from us. They were just very humble, very grateful to be picked as the person for that particular team that was visiting. For impacting lives with the gospel, Bailey talked about how you have to be willing to pray out loud. Well, that's not me. And truth be told, none of us were very comfortable praying out loud at first. We weren't sure how it was going to go. And the missions team that was hosting us kind of said, okay, who wants to pray? And we all got really shy, like I am normally. And there was probably a real 10 seconds of silence before I, unbeknownst to myself and my faith and my comfortability, said, okay, I'll do it. And so I started praying, and of course I started bawling my eyes out, because I've learned since then that that's what I do when I pray. I'm a big crier. So I asked them to please translate to the families that there's nothing wrong, that that's just something that I do when I pray. So I prayed for the lady who was renting the house from them. She was, she had a past that she wasn't proud of. She had like 4 children. She had a boyfriend who was struggling with addiction, and the mission tried to help them. And he ended up going into a drug program, and she was holding the most recent baby that she had, who was just 8 months old, and my heart is in children, and we're talking, we're getting translation, and I just reached out my arms like she knew my language and I knew hers, and she smiled and passed me her baby, and I held him, and then I prayed for her, and we put hands on, and it was very emotional. It was very eye-opening, and it really humbles you to see all that we have that we take for granted. When I came back, the first thing I did was go through my closet, and I'm far from done. I have a lot of things, but I instantly started putting things away, and I made a determination that I'm going to donate more than I ever have before, but I'm not going to donate to Goodwill, and I'm not going to donate to Salvation Army. I'm going to donate to like Open Door Mission and places like that that give people the things that they need for free, because they shouldn't be charged for them, and that's just a personal thing that I feel. Serving with humanity and sharing God's love, both of those go hand in hand. I think that you have to be humble, you have to be selfless. There's no contest for who's got the nicest clothes or anything like that. Some of the places that we went didn't even have roads to drive on. So by the 0.5% chance that somebody had a car, doesn't matter. They didn't have anything. Their mode of transportation was walking, and like they said, they were content with that. They were content with making games out of papers and bottles laying around, and it just shows you that their humanity is very humble, and that we could learn a lot from that. God says, judge not lest you be judged, and I think that there's a lot to say, a lot that we can learn from that, and I think that it was a very eye-opening experience for me because, sorry. In my family, I was raised by, this is a little off topic, but I was raised by a single father, and 5 brothers. So love was not said. We knew it. In hindsight, my dad was the best dad I could have ever had. But something so simple as showing your love to these people, praying over them in English when they don't understand what we're saying, that's something that we choose to do for them. That's between us and our Father. We put blessings on them and pray for them to be happy and healthy and to get the things that they need just to live like a regular, what we would consider a regular life. But the hugs, we gave so many hugs, and they were heartfelt hugs, like squeeze hugs, and they weren't because, somebody met us on a plane coming home or because somebody passed away. They weren't for happiness or sadness of an occasion, but like sincerity. And like that was big for me. I got a lot out of this trip, and I don't think I could even begin to summarize it here. And like I said, I'm not a public speaker, but I feel like every person that I've told about my experience, I've given the greatest of details, and they still have no idea at all what I experienced. You have to see it firsthand. If you have any inkling in your head or your heart, I think that you should sign up and do it. It's an experience that will change you in ways you don't even know. I'm still processing it, and it's been weeks. And everywhere I look, everything I do every day, songs I hear on the radio, conversations that I have with Bailey or Sandy. Kevin, he doesn't talk to us so much. He's quieter than me, I think. But like little things make a connection for you about something that you experienced, and you just, faith is real. There's so much that has happened, and I'm gonna finish my acronym, but then pass it on to Kevin. But the intentional relationships, I think like that goes into the whole, like, talking to people and connecting with them. The kids painting my nails, Bailey playing soccer with the kids, Kevin playing pool. The children were drawn to him like he had on the best cologne or something, because they were climbing him. They loved him. And that's important too, because maybe some of the men aren't so sure if they would want to do something like this. I highly encourage it, because they adore you. A lot of them don't have a male figure in their life. They don't have someone to connect with. And I mean, the kids cried when we left. They cried because they loved that we were there. They loved the gringos. Leads me into N. It was nurturing and spiritual growth for all of us. I think that we all got a ton out of this, and I think that we're all still processing. And strengthening your local ministries. I mean, we absolutely would love for everybody to sign up to go to Costa Rica, to go out of the country, but Bailey's gonna talk about it more later. There's a lot we can do locally, whether it's here in Dansville or going somewhere in Rochester to a place where people have needs that we can help fulfill, that we can offer them our prayers. No, there was no one who turned us away. A lot of people came to us and embraced the idea of us praying for them, but nobody, like, it's not like we had to convince them. And that wouldn't really feel comfortable anyways. Like, I would never want to have to convince somebody to let me pray for them. If that's going to happen, then I'm just going to do it on my own and let God do his work. But they were so welcoming, so happy, so grateful to us. I mean, we were thanked a zillion times every time we prayed for anybody in the first two areas. The red zone, I mean, we're praying for them because they clearly have issues. So, but many of them still were grateful and said thank you to us. So I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to pass the microphone.
It's really quick. So just kind of a couple overview things here. Everyone else has touched on these items already, but pictures and words and listening to what we have to say does nothing to describe what it's actually like when you're there, especially in the city, and especially the refugee camp, or even going to the red zone. You can't understand what that is like until you're standing there, seeing it for yourself, feeling it, smelling it, tasting it. It's really quite different than you can even imagine until you're there. So if you do have the opportunity, and that goes into the next item here, going versus giving, that's one thing that's constantly sort of asked or brought up when we talk about doing a missions trip somewhere. Is it is expensive to buy plane tickets. It is expensive to go. It is time that you take off from work. So there is a cost to that, to actually make these trips. And does it make sense to go and do this, or does it make sense to just send a check? Sending a check a lot of times is a lot easier. So I talked to the missions group about that, just, what is it that's most helpful? And as Sandy said, there's 3 or 4 people inside of the missions in the city. So they can't do all of these things all by themselves. Money's great, money helps. They can buy stuff, they can cover their costs, they can buy the food for the feeding centers, they can get some toys for the kids. But they need people that can take that stuff out into the community and spend the time with the kids and carry the groceries into these houses, some of which we literally had to crawl into. There were obstacles in the way, probably on purpose to help keep others out. But these houses that we're going into are the size of, like, say, the kitchen here at the church. And there might be 7, 8, 9 people living in there. Until you can see that, you can't understand it. So if you have the opportunity, then actually going on one of these trips is very helpful. There are local missions, but the way I kind of look at it is going on a trip like this is sort of like going on vacation versus vacationing at home. If you vacation at home, you tend to be busy doing other things and doing stuff around the house and catching up on busy work as opposed to actually going on vacation. So missions are very similar. If you go somewhere and you're immersed in a mission, then you are dedicated to doing that for that 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever days you sign up for. Versus if you do it around here, you catch it here and there and do a little bit every now and again. And I just feel like going on a trip provides you with that dedicated time to actually do it. So 100% would recommend going if you can. You know, just some general like travel things. We all went with just carry-ons on the planes. You know, we do have layovers at airports, and we are doing a lot of walking and we're moving around. So you know, we packed very light. We just did the carry-ons. We were in and out in terms of like what to wear when you're down there. When we were at the ranch, I wore flip-flops for 2 days and shorts and t-shirts, and it was very nice. And the ranch to me was very much like a summer camp kind of atmosphere. It was a very beautiful property against a bridge. The accommodations were nice. The place was clean. If you're not interested in going to an inner city and walking up and down hills in a garbage dump with open sewers, the ranch is a great option. Not taking anything, I'm not promoting one versus the other, but it was very nice, and you could still have an impact in the community. When we went to the city, I did not wear flip-flops. It was very dirty. It was, I wouldn't say dangerous, but at the ranch we had to keep Jeannie from standing on the anthills, and in the city we had to keep her from stepping in the open sewers. So things like that.
In Jeannie's defense, Jeannie was our videographer, so she was always.
She wasn't
taking
looking
pictures
down
and
very
videos.
often. She didn't look down very much. And as we would get done with a meal, and I would go off and for some quiet time to myself, and then my wife would chase me down and be like, "What are you doing? Everybody's over here. You're always running off by yourself." And then I'd have to say, "Sandy, they serve beans 3 times a day, okay? I need a little space, okay?" So it is, and I'll tell you, like, if you think you're going to go on this trip and bring a book or play on your phone or something in your downtime, if we had 30 minutes of downtime, I was taking a nap. Like, it is super busy. It is very taxing emotionally. So pack light, be mobile, be ready to go. And then as far as being the only man on the trip, as Jeannie mentioned, there isn't a lot of male presence where we were going. There was a lot of mothers and children, and as a man, just seemed like there was never, just endless children coming up constantly in every direction. And so if you're thinking, well, my wife would be good at this, and I'll let her go, and I'll get some stuff done around the house, honestly, you would have, probably the greater impact in these communities while you're there. Just playing and sharing and being there and being an example. And one other thing I would say is around here, it seems like a lot of people are standing there with their hand out or telling you to give them something, or not in every missions opportunity, but there's a lot of it's a lot different there versus here. Here it seems like an expectation or a demand, and it makes it hard to give sometimes, because you don't know if that person at the intersection in the city holding the cardboard sign is legit or a panhandler, or we don't know. So and I carry the homeless bags around in my truck. I've been working in the cities every day for the last, since September. So I have an opportunity to give those out, and you hand it to somebody. They reach in, grab the Bible, and throw it on the ground and carry on with their socks and snacks and gift cards. When we were down there, the people were very grateful. They were, when we were in the city, we happened upon a warehouse location where there was a homeless, sort of like, where they would sleep overnight across the street, and a semi had pulled up. So the business owner will hand out a dollar or two to the homeless, and they'll unload the truck. There's no forklift, so it's all manual. So when we pulled up on the homeless row there, they were busy unloading that truck. We've got food. So now they're torn between making some money or going to get a warm meal. And they're trying to do both. And they're in a hurry. But even though they're in a hurry, they'll stop and allow you to and welcome you to pray over them. Where here, I think if you did that, they'd just grab their food and run away. It's a different situation. I'm not saying not to do things here. Obviously, there's a lot of need. It's just welcomed, appreciated. It's a different experience. So anyway, if you get an opportunity, it's well worth the time.
All right, I'll try and make this a little quick. I know we're getting close to the time. The red zone. This was probably the most intense part of our trip, but my absolute favorite. God really met me there, and it was intense emotionally, but in the best way possible. That's Steven, by the way, that little boy that's who Jeannie was talking about. When she was talking, he's the little smushiest face. He slept on me for probably like 2 hours. It was the best thing in the world. Anyway, so the red zone. We got kind of debriefed before they went. They asked us if we would be comfortable going there, just because it's so dangerous, right? So Max brought Sandy in, talked to her about it. Sandy talked with us, and we decided, yeah, that's what we're here for. Send us, let us go there. So we hopped in the van with quite a few other people. Were pretty packed, threw the food in the back of the van, and off we went into the inner city where there's drug use. We saw someone in active psychosis, people who just can't come back from the drug use because they've been using for so long. There's prostitution, there's homelessness. You're seeing it all, right? So we drive up, we hop out of the truck, we get the food ready. These people come just piling in from the streets, right? And we hand them food, they come to us for 30 seconds, and we say this 30-second prayer for them, and then boom, they're gone. They're off doing the truck. That's when the truck was there. On to the next thing, right? But they're letting us pray, but we're doing these quick, just 30-second prayers over these people, doing what we can, right? And then they go on. And then we'd hop back in the truck, go to a different spot, and pop back out, and same thing, people come piling in, these 30-second prayers. We were told that it's okay to be scared, right? And I think, yeah, it was, but I didn't feel scared once. I felt an overwhelming feeling of peace and security while I was there. Like I was meant to be there. I could have stayed there all night long. I can't even, it gives me goosebumps just even thinking about how I felt. I should have been scared. I should have been looking over my shoulder that way and this way, right? But I was right there with those people, hands on them, praying over them. And it was I felt like God's righteous right hand was over mine every single time that I laid a hand on those people. And even though they were 30-second prayers, they were the most passionate prayers I have ever prayed in my entire life. And they meant something. Even though they didn't understand me, they meant something, right? So even though it's scary, right, it's good work. Like, you're doing good things while you're down there. Funny story from that. So like I said, a lot of them don't speak English at all, don't speak English at all. So you're saying these quick 30-second prayers knowing that they don't really know what you're saying, right? So not a big deal. Well, I get this chance somehow to pray over this guy, and it's like a 2-minute prayer. And I'm like, oh, this is good. Like, I can do this, right? So I'm praying over him, and I get done, and he looks at me, and he goes, yeah, I speak English. I was like, oh, okay. Hopefully what I said makes sense because you know every single word that I just said. You know, I'm used to these 30-second prayers, like, just say what you need to say, you know, they don't really know. And then this guy's like, yeah, I speak perfect English. I'm like, okay, good. And he's like, but I needed that. He goes, every word you spoke over me, I needed, so thank you. So just cool things like that. And then I think I also put up there the refugee camp. That was huge for me, right? Just seeing the joy on kids' faces with nothing, with a beer bottle and a soccer ball. And they're so happy. It's crazy. So part of, at the refugee camp, they had us bring $1 bills. And we're there, you know, the kids, they know. We're the white people, we got money. They know that. So they're asking for it, right? But we were debriefed on that, and they told us, like, they need to earn the money that you give them. So, like, yeah, you can bring them money, but they're to earn it, right? So we've got little girls making us bracelets. You make me a bracelet, I'll give you $1. Or you do this, and then you can get $1. So I was blowing bubbles with these girls. There's this kid in the background. He's probably 8 years old, and one of the bubbles gets in his eyes. He falls down to the ground and, like, starts hysterically, like, fake crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, of course I'm feeling terrible, right? Like, I just hurt, even though I know it didn't really hurt. He was just pretending, right? So he gets up, he's fine. 5 minutes later, Max, the missionary down there with us, walks over to me with this kid. And I'm like, oh no, like, what did I do? And he goes, Max looks at me, and he goes, he says you owe him $1 for hurting him. And I was like, oh, cool. It's like awesome. He's like, yeah, you got to give him $1, man. You hurt him. He said you really hurt him bad. I was like, I got bubbles in his eyes. But that's what they'll do, right? They want the money. So I was like, no. I said, I'm not. I said, you got to nutmeg me 3 times in soccer, and then I'll give you $1. I played soccer with this kid for an hour straight. He ended up with, like, all my money. It's fine. He earned it, though, right? Like, he nutmegged me every single time. And he put up a good fight. They know how to play soccer, man. They are good at it, right? Like, it's crazy. And that's where most of my bruises are from that kid, because they're rough, and he was kicking, yeah. But I had the best time. Like, I was genuinely happy. I was genuinely laughing, playing soccer in this middle of this dirt field of these metal shack homes with broken glass and waste, and I was just happy. And I, for a minute, felt like I was really stepping into their world and understanding it, and it was amazing. It was... yeah, you got to go. You have to experience it in person. I can tell you all these things, right? But until you're there in that moment with them, you won't fully comprehend it. But my last point is that we're not doing enough here in our own community. We've got people struggling with drug use right here in Dansville. Logan's in, Dansville in. What are we doing with those people? How are we helping them as a community, as a church body? What are we doing for them? Not enough, I can tell you that right now. So God's really put on my heart that we got to do more here as a church family, not just me, not just us 3, all of you guys. We got to do more for our people here because they are our people, and God wants us to take care of them, right? So I've been praying about it, and God's really spoke to me that we're missing a prime opportunity with our food pantry. We have people in our parking lot already. That's the hardest part, man, getting them here, and they're here lined up. 8 a.m. every single Wednesday morning. Why are we not out there? Why are we not out there going to those cars and praying over those people, asking them what they need? Why are we not offering coffee out there for them, taking coffee to their car for them while they're waiting? So that's something I'm going to start. If you feel like that's something you want to help me with or, give to or something, I'm next month, I believe, because we're closed this month for the food pantry for renovations, but it's something I'm going to start every Wednesday. I'm going to be out there. You're going to see me. Drive by, you'll see me. I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to offer to pray for people, and I'm going to give them warm coffee and some type of pastry, And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to meet them where they're at, because they're already here. They're already here. The hardest part is getting people here, right? And they may not know it, but they're here. So it's up to us to meet them where they're at and reach them there. And same with Logan's Inn and Danzel Inn. Those people struggle. Some people know this, but I was a counselor, a drug and alcohol counselor at Casa Trinity for almost 2 years. I recently stopped doing that, but I've got a relationship with these people. And shame on me for not using that relationship. God's really put that on my heart, and I felt very convicted about that I should have been doing more for these people, but now that I don't work there, I can do more. And so with that said, I'm going to start one time monthly. We're going to cook a dinner here, and we're going to load up in our cars, and we're going to drive down to Logan's Inn, and we're going to walk in those doors, and we are going to knock on those doors, and we're going to offer people warm food, a good meal, and we're going to pray over them if they let us. And some of them won't, and that's okay. But you know what you can do? Just pray for them anyway. You can pray for them anyway. And they may not know it, God knows it, and you know it, and that will make a difference. So that's kind of where this has all brought it in for me, and where I feel like we need to be doing more as a church body and a community for our own people, right? We can go and we can do these missions, and yes, do it. It is good. But let's start here. Let's start now while we can. We have the opportunity, right? So I just urge you guys to pray about it. Pray for me, because I'm going to be the one hopefully heading these things, right? And it's going to be a lot. But pray about it for you too. If this is something that you feel called to help me with or to be a part of, and just pray over it for me, because that alone is doing something. So yeah, I think that's all I've got on my slide. And then the next one, if you just want to. So we are going back, February 2027. Also this picture, my favorite from the trip. Just look at it. Look at the tattoos on his back, the gold chain that he's wearing. He's out without a shirt. Those are our hands over him, praying over him. That's the three of us in the red zone praying over this man. And that picture gives me goosebumps. It literally shakes me to my core. You see the vest that we're wearing. It's powerful. It's really powerful. So we're going back, and we'd love it if you guys would join us. Pray about it, right? That's got to be a heart posture. Like you got to feel the tug, right? And even if you don't, explore it. Keep praying about it, right? Talk to us about it. We're going to open up in a second here for questions, for any questions that you guys have, if you want to come and talk to us or raise your hand, whatever, however we want to do it. But we are going back. It's about a 7-hour total flight time, depending on where you go for your first one, and then layover, that kind of thing. There's an hour difference. They're an hour, behind us? Behind. Cost, we don't know yet. We got to figure that out once we get things together. But we're going back, and we would love it if you guys would come with us. And they would love it too. So just pray about it. Is there any questions if anybody wants to? And then we have that video for you guys. Yeah.
What do they do if the children are injured or really sick, or where do they get urgent medical attention if they need something?
So they actually have great hospitals. Their medical care is better than the United States, believe it or not. So they can get medical care like it's no big deal at all. That's not a big concern there. Nope. Yes, they do have to wait a long time, but it makes sense, right? It's because it's accessible to everybody there. It's not a problem. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Don't ask me that. I don't know how to say it. Come on now. Eligible. I believe. Can't say it. I'm sorry. San Jose is the one we flew into, and then there's a counter city not too far from there, right? It starts with an A. Abuelita. Go ahead. There you go. Yeah. Is that what that? Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, so they don't go to school. Do you want to speak on this, or are you okay for me? Okay. So there's school at the ranch. They have a little community, right? And they have this school, and it's like, what, 600 kids in that school? There's a lot of kids that go to school. It's broken up in two, so they've got kids that go in the morning and kids that go in the afternoon. A lot of families, because they can't afford it, they send one kid in the morning, the kid comes home, changes out of their uniform, gives it to the other kid puts it on and goes to school in the afternoon. That happens a lot. But specifically in the family that Sandy and Kevin chose to sponsor, they were really struggling because it was 3-kid family, and she had to basically choose which kid to send to school and which kid to stay home. And so if it wasn't for Sandy and Kevin, the little boy wouldn't be going to school. He just wouldn't. So that's where, like, you guys can make a big difference, like, with the child sponsorship. You guys can go ahead and do that. I believe it's just on the 6-8 Ministries website. You guys can do that and know that your money is going strictly to those kids, which is nice, too. So, yeah, they don't go to school if they can't. You had a question over here?
Well, one question I had was, what was the cost, or was you gonna be partially sponsoring, paying it all yourself? And the other going along with that is, you said it's $250 for each kid to go to school for the year.
Yep.
I mean, is that something, you guys don't have another program where they have people down there that have a kind of alternative school that doesn't cost money, or do you have to pay them, there's no other?
Nope. That's the school that they go to. It costs $250. They don't. Yeah, it's. Which you would think, like, if those kids don't get a uniform, they are not allowed in that school, which is crazy. You would think that to make it more accessible for people, they wouldn't need a uniform, but it's not the case. They have to have a uniform. I kind of missed your first part of your question.
I was wondering, like, what is the price, and are you guys sponsoring, doing it all on your own?
So, like, us to go. So our plane tickets were what, like around 700, but we went spring break week, so it was way higher. There was, each person did have to have roughly $100 for the groceries to buy for families, but I personally did a GoFundMe and I raised more than enough money for the trip. So there's personal fundraising, and I think that if we do get a bigger group, we will do some fundraising events to try and raise some more money for it, that kind of thing. But we wouldn't know like an exact total until time got closer with the plane tickets and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's something that we're thinking about, but the downside of that, right, is then our students can't go. So like our younger generation kids who are in college, like we want you guys to go too, so like spring break, right? Like it's a give or take, so we're kind of gonna base it off of, do we have a lot of college students who wanna go? Then we're gonna have to do spring break. If not, let's choose a different week.
We're hoping that 11 months runway will give us enough time to fundraise and be able to do things around the community so that the cost is easier for folks that want to go, right?
Yeah.
How old do they have to be to go?
I don't think there's limit, no.
The child sponsorship for the school, is that like a once-a-year thing that you do? You pay the $250 to them?
Monthly.
You can keep the same kid year after year if you want to, or?
The way they have it set up right now is a $25 a month. They found that it's easier to get $25 a month than just $250.
In one chunk at one time.
So, I mean, we just offered to pay it, but they said, no, please sign up through the website, and, okay. It's on their 6-8 Ministries website.
6:8 Ministries on Facebook, you can find it that way.
And there's a link there that you can click on for child sponsorship. They were in the process of updating
prettiest girl. Yes, you are.
Sean's on a real food diet at the moment.
Yo nunca come consigo.
Sí, sí.
Got a little bit of shaved ice on him.
¿Qué tallas? Es 39.
39.
Sí, ¿cuándo hay?
Did you get it that time?
Es que no puedo ir ahí porque
Sí, no, sí.
So what does the powder milk do? Just make it kind of creamy? That's just their thing. Said, I don't know.
We'll find out. I love
Adds
the
a little
condensed milk.
pizzazz. Yeah.
The condensed.
Wow, you're good.
I rejoice, Lord, in my heart that they hear you call and they come to serve as you call them, Lord. I ask and beg of your blessings for them always, their families, their church. I ask of you, my Lord, for safe travels tomorrow. Bless our day like you blessed us today, Lord. And let us just allow us the footsteps you put in our way to serve you, my God. In Jesus Christ, my King and beg. Amen. Amen.
Temptation come my way, and when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. On the street, I wanna do the type of shows that the Lord wanna see. What I mean, if I can make the whole church clap, it ain't a clap in the heavens, then they clap, just a clap, clap. Oh, son, glorified, see it one five. The Holy Spirit going where they want to die. The sound doctrine, he's broken the church has been clapping that week firmly. We know it's changed by Sunday service. We need discernment, check what you be affirming. Cause the church can be full of members, but empty and conversion. It's the gospel, it's staying back, look and change.
thanks for hanging in here, guys. I'm going to close in prayer. I do want to encourage you, if you have more questions, you have any interest at all about considering going next year, come talk to these guys. They'd be more than willing to share with you something we're going to be planning. We got plenty of leeway. It'll be probably February next year at some point, so that's kind of, at least for now, that's the goal. So let's just pray. Father, I thank you for these guys who went, Lord. I pray that you would encourage more people, Lord, to go and to take that challenge on, to see what you would do, not only for the people down in Costa Rica, but the transformation that can happen for us being a part of something like that. And Lord, on top of that, let us not forget the opportunities you've placed right in front of us. Just like the Good Samaritan who just happened to be walking away along the path and runs into somebody who needs trouble, or who is in trouble and needs help. Father, help us to respond to the opportunities that are right in front of our path. As Bailey's working ahead to prepare some opportunities, Father, I pray that you would encourage us to step in. Your word says that, the harvest is full, it's huge, but the laborers are few. So, Father, this year our focus is about engaging, about getting involved. And so we pray for these opportunities. We thank you that we can participate in the kingdom and be a part of that. In your precious name we pray. Amen.